If you're thinking of moving to Melbourne, Florida, or the Space Coast, wouldn't you want to know the things that only the locals know? Well, sit back and enjoy because I'm jumping into the most random topics and giving you some real local insights in case you decide to live here. For example, have you ever heard of bioluminescence? Or how about flip-flop tan lines? What do Space Coastinians really think about hurricanes? 5-second rainstorms, traffic, real estate, and flood insurance. We are even going to touch on what beaches to go to and which ones to stay away from. All this and more, stay tuned. When people move to the Space Coast, they do so for the quality of life, the outdoors, the fun in the sun, the boating, the beaches, better jobs, the events, and the endless things to do. But there are things to know, like how do we handle the seasons? Well, there are 2 seasons here, inside season and outside season. Outside season lasts about 9 to 10 months of the year, when the weather is overall pretty mild and you get to experience everything that Melbourne has to offer, from golfing to festivals to picnics and bike rides. But in the summertime, well, that's what we call inside season. During inside season, locals still go to the beaches, they swim in the pools, and we still go outside, but this is the best time of year to visit the museums, go bowling, go to restaurants, sit inside, anything that will really keep you out of the summer sun and afternoon rain showers. Speaking of the beaches, where do the locals go to the beach? Let me start by telling you where we don't go. We don't ever go by the pier or downtown Cocoa Beach. I also personally don't go to the beaches in Satellite Beach and Indian Harbor Beach. Although many people do, they are rocky and you can stub your toe, so I avoid those beaches. We visit the beaches in Cape Canaveral for the free parking, the beaches in Cocoa Beach away from the tourist areas, and anywhere in India Atlantic and south of that, Melbourne Beach and so forth, is beautiful. I strongly dislike paying for parking, so I like to go to any of the Brevard County parks instead of city parks. So those parks on the screen right here, they wouldn't charge you for parking amongst a few others. The beaches here are so nice, and you never feel like you're on top of anyone when you go unless you're in a touristy spot like downtown Cocoa Beach. So just avoid those areas. Now, if you visit the beach, here are a few local tips. If you have kids, those SPF shirts make things easy so you only have to put sunscreen on faces and legs. Okay, I know you have sandals and flip-flops on. So let's talk about your Space Coast wardrobe. You know if you spot a local because they will have flip-flop tan lines. Sandals and flip-flops pretty much have you covered for just about every occasion. You could wear them to the beach, they're great for cutting the grass. No, seriously, don't do that. Going to the mall, acceptable at dinner, and if you get really nice fancy ones, maybe even a wedding. The Space Coast is very laid back and casual. Alright, we already talked about SPF shirts. Ladies, sometimes I will even wear my hat while I'm showing homes to protect my face from sun damage. But we need to protect our faces in the summertime from those rays. And while I can't endorse rocking Crocs with socks, I will tell you that it is fully acceptable to rock a hoodie if temps drop below 70 degrees. I can't tell you how many times people will be rocking a hoodie in the office because we don't carry around jackets with us a lot because typically it's hot, but we do get cold if it's under 70 degrees. And do your best to rep one of our local sports teams, not one that says, I love New York City, because you will stand out like a sore thumb. Alright, might as well talk about the weather now. We have 5-second rainstorms. No, really. I've looked out the window and seen it raining in front of my house and then nothing in the back. When I glance back, the sun was back out again. It's a real thing. And sometimes we get some serious thunderstorms that shake your house. When you first move here, you'll experience lightning that strikes somewhere nearby, and then your hair will stand up on your arms, and you'll lose power in your house for a few minutes. But locals like me kind of appreciate it in a weird way. It's a little soothing when all the noise shuts off and you can only hear the rain. Now, I can't be the only one that thinks that. And how about the hurricanes? Okay, getting serious for a minute. Hurricanes. They're intense and can do very real damage when they make landfall. Every local has a plan to just hightail it if it looks like we're going to get a direct hit. But we have been very lucky enough not to experience that, at least the last 100 years. With that said, tropical storm winds typically can range between 60 to 70 miles per hour. When winds kick up from there, schools close and hurricane parties become the hot topic. Losing power for a little bit can happen, so you want to cook everything in your refrigerator and have a party with family or neighbors. So while we take it seriously, if it's not hitting Melbourne or the Space Coast directly, which typically isn't, then you might as well just have some fun. All right, rolling this takes me into real estate mode. There are two main points to make here. Number one, most homes are not in a flood zone in Melbourne. A lot of people call me nervous that it'll be hard to find a home that's not in a flood zone, but many are in the first place. The base flood elevation in Melbourne is right around 10 feet, which means if your home slab or base level is higher than the requirements, then you do not need flood insurance. It's not area-based, it's based on your flood elevation. So for example, I live right off the river, and you would think that I am in a flood zone because the river could, in theory, flood nearby areas. But I'm not required to have flood insurance because my land is built up high enough. The second point is that we have humidity and bugs like termites in Melbourne. So the number one job of homeowners is to keep all of those outside elements that can damage your home outside of your home. Keep your home painted and windows caulked to keep water out, and have your pest guys spray for bugs because they want to join you for those hurricane parties you throw. This is also why a very thorough home inspection is important for when you buy your new home here. Living in Florida, in general, you have to know that there's a lot of people who drive fast and there's a lot of people who drive super slow. On interstates here, if you want to take your time and relax, drive 60 in the right lane with the semi-trucks. Middle lane is if you somewhat know what you're doing and you're going about 70-75 miles per hour. And the left lane, that's the NASCAR lane because you only get in that lane when you want to pass somebody. Most people I talk to that just moved here say they avoid the left lane on I-95 at all costs, and I agree with them on that. I usually will prefer to take Route 1 or even back roads than get on 95 at all costs. So also keep that in mind that there's options to avoid 95. Now, before we get into something really fun and unique to our area, if you're thinking about moving to the Melbourne area, I'm a real estate agent and would be honored to help. So reach out. I would love to help you and your family find your next home. Okay, something really cool and something really unique to our little area is that we have bioluminescence here between July to September. You may be thinking, what the heck is that? Bioluminescence is a natural phenomenon that is a dazzling natural light show occurring when microscopic organisms in the water, such as plankton, like in SpongeBob, are disturbed and emit a glowing light. So there are so many different tours you can buy, whether it's a boat tour or a kayak tour at night to see this, but there's also spots locals can visit where you can see it without going out into the water or paying for a tour. If you're new here, for example, go to Front Street Park in Melbourne and walk out onto the pier and you will see the fish swimming. If you get lucky, someone will even be boating and you can see the glow behind the boats. All right, let's talk about rocket launches. You may be wondering where the best places to view them are. Anywhere on the beach has an incredible view. You can also grab a bite to eat at Hotel Melby's rooftop restaurant, which also has an incredible view. And lastly, your front or backyard is always great and convenient. That's where I typically view them now that I've lived here for a while. Also, this isn't really a secret at all, but fun fact, Jim Morrison was born here in Melbourne, Florida. I bet you're wondering, where's the best food joints? And honestly, this could be its own video, so instead, for now, I'm adding a link below that has all my favorite restaurants in the Space Coast on it. All right, that's all I have for you today. I'm sure I can keep going on this list, but I love to hear what some of you can add to the list, so leave your thoughts in the comments. And if you're moving to Melbourne, Florida, and need help from a local real estate agent, reach out to me because we would love to help you and your family find your next home. My contact information is right here on the screen, pinned comments, and description below. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Rachel Langley with Blue Marlin Real Estate, and I'll see you on the next one.